Yeah, really simple, right? We have 6 clips. I think it's literally this, maybe 5. I think it's this one actually. Yes, okay. What we're gonna do is we're gonna break these down, and these are your flaws. Okay, there's genuinely not that many, but here's the difference. When you're facing someone that's like actually close to you in skill, these ones will kill you like 100%. So they're actually really important, even though they're like it's really hard to spot them because they're almost minor. It's not like some, oh, you missed your shot, you died. Like, it's not something big, but they cause really big problems. They're very subtle. Subtle's the right word. And I think what we need to do is remember that sometimes you can lose to situations where you forget that your wall's weak. So why is this wall weak, you know?
I think because I just edited it.
Yes, exactly. Let me, I'll turn you up a little bit. But yes, no, you're totally right. And the key part of this situation is to understand is, like, you could do one of two things. Number one, you could, as I take this, react quickly. But the only way you'll react quickly is if you had it in your head that, hey, my wall's weak, he could take it first try. Like, he could take it one pickaxe and it's gone. And if you had that, then you would be ready for it mentally as like, hey, if he does that, I'm going to do this. And I'm going to do this is flip the cone. Or you could also, as a subtle solution, this is not as common for people. This is what I do sometimes. Is just pickaxe your own wall and get it back up to 2 pickaxes. I don't think of walls as numbers. That complicates things. Think of walls as 1 pickaxe or 2 pickaxe or 3 pickaxe. Then, like, when you're playing, you almost have like an imaginary, like, big number on each wall. And then that way, you know which walls you should be worried about. Because those walls say 1. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see.
Yeah, so that's very good. That's how you can sort of calculate that sort of stuff. And then here, I just win. Doesn't even matter that I you know, because you're in a situation here. Can you flip this cone to block me where you're standing?
No.
Right. And so here's the truth. The cone is only a defensive tool if you're in the back half of your box relative to the direction that I'm in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Because if you're in the front half, you can't flip the cone. You can edit down, but then I'll just edit on you while you're falling and you'll die.
Yeah.
Right? You won't have gun out because you're editing. But here I just win because of that simple thing. This is good by you. This is also good by you. Holding. What's not good by you? Okay, so this is a very niche, like I said, right? There's situations where you'll make a very tiny mistake and it'll kill you. Right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem obvious because look. Right hand, right? But here, what should you do instead in this exact scenario?
Probably like pre-fire. Like wait.
You could. That's not a horrible solution, but again, let's suppose you pre-fire me, I take the wall first try, and then edit it. You can't flip the cone again, can you?
Yeah, no, I can't.
Right. So this is, again, very niche, but the idea is very important. You need to understand that I have this counterplay. Look, I'll just play it out. This counterplay of me taking your wall first try when you edit because it becomes 1 pickaxeable, right? So if you understand that's the counterplay, you need to make what I call a clean cut edit. And a clean cut edit would be reverse peanut butter. You stand here on my mouse. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then you jump peek me. Now, there's a contingency. This play only works if I'm not hugging your wall. And in this case, that checks out. But it's important. You need to check that. Right? If I am hugging your wall, then when you do reverse peanut butter, I'll just run in. But then also, let's say I am hugging your wall. What should you do then? Then peeks will work better because of the fact that I can't really replace your wall. Because when I'm standing super close, it's really hard for me to replace. I can, you know, phase in, but it's really hard for me to replace. But when that happens, you just stand in the back half of your box and try to pre-fire and do some like edits and stuff. But yeah, basically to do that play that I suggested, just make sure I'm not hugging. In this case, I'm not, so you can definitely do it. But yeah, just I don't know what I would even call this. It's like thinking about what I would do. Like there's situations where you know I'm screwed, and then that's when your play should work. But in this case, you should recognize that I do have a play. And here you can't hear it that easily, but because I'm screen sharing, you don't hear the audio, but you shot. That gives me comfort to like care less, because I know your shot's gone here. So then what that gives me is like truly an easy shot, because I can take my time. I'm not rushed or panicked or anything because I know you like just shot. Right. So that's an important aspect. Obviously, there's fights in here you won, but I'm less concerned. Those fights I didn't really spot too many mistakes, so I just really skipped them. Yeah. This is a good shot by you. So who's winning here?
Me.
Yeah. Let's see. This is right, by the way. What you do here to go around is actually fun. The only problem is, yeah. So now it's even. I'm sure you can agree. I'm 36, you're 50. So
Yeah.
the important part is, actually, I actually wouldn't even mind. Honestly, it's not okay. I think what you did here is okay. Like, it's good, but it's also good to take the short path. It's not horrible. Is my point. But that's not the mistake. The mistake here is just being exposed. You should sit behind a peanut butter or something, or even go through here. Go through here and then smack on this wall, the wall that my mouse is on.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, diagonal it. Because it's here. Like, if you want to diagonal this or whatever, you'd have to go all the way around. You could long range wall take this, but it's just a reaction time. Like, what you're doing is fine. It just needs to follow up, because I'm peeking, right? You need to defend the peak. You can't challenge the peak. If you challenge the peak, you lose.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what happens. And here I just go aggressive. Why? Because you out heal me. You have more heals in your inventory. If I pop 2 minis, I think I lose. Why? Because you'll be 150 and I'll be 86. Me knowing that, it's in my favor to take the fight when it's even. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like this is why I push. Like, it's not, there's no other reason. That's my edit. My mechanics are getting me in a tough position, but the ideas and the decisions that I make can be taught. Like that's the good stuff, basically. That was good. I'm just pushing. Good. Yeah, you're defending very well. And then here, what I should do is wall. Like, neither of us wall here. Either one of us should wall, honestly. This is only good for you because I have to pull my shotgun. If you notice that, then it's good. Check mark. Like, I'm happy if you notice that. If you're 50-50ing this without noticing that, then it's bad. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I didn't notice it.
Yes, so there you go. So in that case, then you should wall and control a little bit more of the fight.
Yeah.
I do think it's possible and completely valid if you notice my shotgun's not out or I'm holding builds or something, and you do it because of that. That's sometimes I do that as well, and that is fine if that's your reasoning. That's good. Next fight. Oh, here's a very interesting situation. This is what you learn in arena. And actually, the problem with arena, honestly, is several things. I don't like arena that much. I just like it in short bursts. Meaning, you should do it like twice a week. You shouldn't do it like that often. You shouldn't play it every day. The reason is, number one, most people have school and work, so their remaining hours are more valuable. It's not like you have 14 hours a day to play Fortnite, right? And arena inherently is pretty useless in terms of time, because you literally run around for 10 minutes to find 1 or 2 fights. Right, that's the problem. Creative, it's nice. It's less realistic, but it's really good place because you get literally a fight every 30 seconds. High reps, right? That's what you want. Arena's inefficient in that regard, but arena is more realistic. So how do you use it? You use it as a test. Think of creative as the studying, and then you go into arena to see if any of it transferred over. And if there is not any transfer of like skill, then try to figure out, okay, how am I different in creative and in arena, and what should I do to like implement what I'm missing? Like, arena's the test, the diagnostic test, if you will, to see if you're actually applying the things that you learn in creative. But you shouldn't train in arena. That's wrong. I don't think that's good. I guess you could train in arena if there's something missing, but yeah, either way. I think the biggest thing here is to understand that people can do wrong things. And honestly, this isn't even that wrong. It's just like, you should expect something like this to happen, and what should you do? Reset. It's a reaction time, honestly, more than anything. However, let's suppose I just stood here. Let's say I didn't like full swing it and just stood here. I can see you, you can't see me. You agree?
Yeah.
I can look through my left hand third person, but you can't see that I'm here. Like, you would think I'm somewhere in the area, but you wouldn't know exactly where I am. Then I could line up my crosshair and then swing and then commit. So that's like a slight optimization on my part that would help me make this work. But again, here's a rule of Fortnite. People don't have to follow the rules. The rules that I set about good box fighting. People can do bad box fighting. The key to a good box fighter or a good fighter in general is to expect the people doing the wrong things as well. So in this situation, I'm not doing something that's actually fundamentally solid, right? I should be punished here. If you reset this in time and catch me, I'm suddenly screwed. No, like if I don't hit this and you reset in time, I'm gone. Like, I lose for sure. That's why what I'm doing is wrong. But again, if you expect the wrong things, then you can punish them. They're only wrong if you punish them. That's how I see it. But again, next fight. Okay, let's actually watch the beginning of this fight. I think this one's important. Oh, it's all the way back here. Yeah. Cool. Again, like, I honestly don't care that much when I'm coaching someone or training someone. I want them to play well, but I actually don't bother to play perfectly. Meaning, like, follow my own rules. because it's actually good practice to fight someone that doesn't play like textbook. You know, so like I'm not really that bothered if I do like weird stuff like this. Like this, technically, in my book, like with what I teach, is wrong. Right? Because you could edit on the first pickaxe and then I just get hit. So that pickaxe out. But I don't care. It's fine. Like if I'm really like if I'm playing wager or whatever, I wouldn't do this.
Yeah, I see.
Okay, so reload before I push. Close. So okay, so why do I feel comfortable editing here? Do you know?
Because I just shot.
Yes, nice. Shouldn't have pumped that. It's hard to follow up with another shot if you were not ready. This was good by you. I shouldn't have challenged your peak. It was your peak. I have a peak here too, but I was overexposed. You weren't. That's the difference. This was bad movement by me. It should go down because you could. I could tell that you were coming this way.
Yep.
This was really good aggression by you. I think you played it really well. Good wall. Pressured me. You're like okay, so what I should have done is change layers. Because think about layers as like dimensions or universes. Like we're in like each layer is like a parallel universe almost, right? And if you own a lot of builds in this area, if I change layers, I almost cancel it all out. Like I'm on a fresh layer now. That's why changing layers is really good. So like in this, like it's very disadvantaged in this area or this layer. I hate it. Like you have so many builds, but if I just go down one, it's almost like we reset back to 0. So that's why I should go down 1 or 2 and then just make another box there. This is just bad by me. I'm curious to see how you react, and you react good. That's good. Okay, some people I do that. I'm 1 HP and I win, and I'm like, how is that allowed? But yeah, so it's good that you react. Going around counterclockwise. Okay, here again, I do something wrong to jump in, but again, you should be ready. And how should you be ready? You're positioning when I take the wall. Okay, here's the lesson. This is actually really cool. Actually, is it that? Well, okay, in general. So, do you watch my video on strong side, weak side?
I think so.
Yeah,
remember.
so basically, diagonal box fighting, right? This right side, if you see my mouse, right side, where I diagonal box fight around the right, is my strong side. This is my weak side. And then for you, it's the complete vice versa. So this is your strong side, this is your weak side, right? And so, if I'm smacking on your weak side or my strong side, then what's important is you don't peek. What I mean by that, it's not honestly that good to move over like this. And I'll tell you why. Number one, there's something called a pre-indicator. It's a term that I made up. But essentially, it means that I can see you running over and I know that you're about to edit. Better edits on this. So there's two. Okay, let's go back a little bit. Let's take a step back. 2 types of edits. Okay, there's peaks, which is the one you're about to do. And there's timed edits, which is something that Mongrel is really known for. If you ever watch Mongrel's gameplay, he would always time his edits, meaning he would react to the enemy pickaxing and then edit then. Obviously, in this case, I do have the reset, but that's way better because there's no prediction from my end. There's no pre-indicators. I don't see you running over. You can just stand right here, pop a mini, and then as soon as I go for pickaxe, use edit, wide edit. Wide edit, why? Because then wide edits makes it harder for me to take the wall.
Yeah.
Does that all make sense? So yeah, between those two, if you're trying to counter shot on your weak side, you should go for timed edits. Peaks are bad. Another reason why peaks is bad because you get out of position. It becomes weirder. If I take the wall and you're here, isn't that bad? Used to the if we refer back to the rule that we talked about, you know, with the cone.
Yeah.
You're in the front side of the box, so it's awkward.
Yeah.
Because then if I do a peanut butter, there's nothing you can edit. I hit you. Right. So that's now obviously if I do what I did, then you could totally theoretically edit the cone this way. Right. You could do that, but I do have another play which is to peanut butter, and then you don't have anything to do. That's the problem. And so that's why I think peaks on weak side put you in bad positions, and it's not honestly recommended. There are some cases you can get away with it, and there are honestly some cases I do it too. But in general, what's the stronger one that you should do 80% of the time? The timed edits, honestly. On strong side, peaks are really strong. Like and in this case, what am I peaking? I'm peaking this. So it doesn't matter what edit this is. And so I do something crazy, and it does become an aim duel. But again, if you shoot first and miss, I have the benefit of being able to take my time. So I get to hit harder. So in this case, like, if you're gonna hit me, it has to be really hard. And honestly, if you hit your SMG shots, you might be able to win, honestly. Because the shotgun difference isn't that much. So yeah, mostly SMG shotgun. There's 2 ways to solve this, okay? You could out-aim me, or you could play correctly. Or do both and then become an insane player. You know? Your choice completely.
I see.
But yeah, there's two different ways. The one I recommend is always the theoretical way, which is like the builds and the positioning and the timed edits. Because aim can always, like, even if you're a really good aimer, you could sometimes miss, and a bad player that you're facing can always hit you max. You know, aim is a supplement, mechanics are a supplement, and they are really important to know. Don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to devalue them, because pros know them really well. Pros know them extremely well. Every pro you look at has really good mechanics, like, always. And any pro that doesn't have good aim or good mechanics tends to fall off. They were usually good back in chapter 1, and then they fall off. You know, that's usually what happens. Which is why I still recommend, you know, get good at max and aiming, but don't rely on them. When you play with theory, and then aim as a supplement in case something goes wrong, or it allows you to end the fight faster because of how good your aim is. I think it's very obvious that your routine is, like, it's simple, by the way. It's not complicated. Improving doesn't have to be some crazy complication thing. Like, honestly. Like, a crazy, like, I don't know, 2 hour this hour that. Like, I would give that to a beginner. Because they need to learn everything. Then diversity matters. Right? In your case, diversity is overrated. Why? Because you know most things. You just need to fix these mistakes that I mentioned, the niche cases. And how do you fix those niche cases mistakes? How do we find out about them in the first place? You have to fight someone good. So in your friend circle, do you have someone that you respect in terms of talent or skill in fighting?
They're like all equal, like on my level. Like I wouldn't say anybody's like better than me.
Is there someone that comes to mind if I had to say that you, like, it's best?
Yeah,
or like someone,
yeah,
or
sure.
let's say they're all equal for a second. Is there someone that is more available than the other person?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
You're gonna fight him 6 hours a day in off season.
Okay.
Once off season's done, then absolutely you can transition more into a scrim setting, tournament preparation. But off season, it's really hard to scrim and prepare for tournaments when you don't even know what the meta is. And so, what should you do? Useful? Like, what are the next best plays? Definitely mechanics. Off season and mechanics always make sense, right? So in this case, like, you need to practice against someone good and challenging who punishes you for the mistakes that you make, right? Like, how else are we supposed to find the mistake that where I took your wall? You know, how else are we ever gonna find it? If a guy just stands here and takes the right hand to the head, you'll never learn. But because I do this, then we know there's a mistake, right? So that, like, the gist of it is you have to fight the best player. You have to be okay with losing, which I'm sure you are, but a lot of people in the scene are not. And, you know, they ask themselves, like, why am I not improving? Like, why am I not getting... It's very obvious. Like, you have no stomach for losing in creative. A game mode that has zero weight on, like, what happens later. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's nothing on the line. Like, why do people get so frustrated about losing? I have no idea. Honestly, I don't even know how to necessarily teach it, because I always, like, when I, you know, played competitive, it was very easy for me to lose because it was very obvious that that's how you improve. Like, it was very obvious for me from day one. But I just know that it's important. That's why I'm recommending you do the same thing. Fight the most challenging player that you have. It's like you go to the gym. Like, you don't stay on the same weights forever. You progressively overload. You just keep going up. And you just make sure you go to the next weight. If you don't, you just stagnate. Like, you don't improve from there. So oftentimes that's why if you watch pros and you look at their friend circles or friend groups across the years, they're never the same. They usually end up in a pro friend circle at the end. Why? Because it's more challenging. Right? It's good. Yeah. It's good for them. So a lot of people who stay with the same friend groups, as like, if you're the best in your friend group, you shouldn't be there. Honestly, you can, like, I'm not saying like cut them off or like you hate them or like just don't practice with them. Go practice against someone else. Like, still, like, be socially there if you want to. I'm not saying don't, but challenge is what you need, because challenge lets you know what your mistakes are. Sounds good?
I see. Yeah.
You have any other questions?
I was gonna ask about, like, your opinion on first game key games tournaments, just in general.
Yeah, very easy. So I think the degree to which you W key depends on the requirement to get into that tournament. So for example, duo cash cup, you should. Why? Because if you don't, then you literally, like, to qual, you have to go crazy. Like, you literally have to win like 5-6 in a row or some crazy shit, right? Because it's so competitive, and if you look at the points, it's really high. It's like 380 for NA or something like that, right? And so another reason is it doesn't require champs to get in, which means game one is easier because the population, the pool of people who are getting in is a bigger mix. Like, there's lower skilled players in there. Whereas in FNCS, where the requirement is champs, and it's like, I know champs isn't that impressive. That's not my point. I'm saying, like, champs versus not champs, it's a huge difference in quality. Like, if you key game one of duo cash cup, you look at the players, it's hilarious. Some of them don't even build. Like, actually. So I would key game one of duo cash cup. Game one of FNCS, you can a little bit, but I wouldn't do it that much, and it highly depends on how confident you are in your fighting. Okay? Like, it does depend on each person. So pros can. Now, if you have the fighting skill level of a pro, and truthfully you have a fighting skill level of a pro, then you should too. But if you don't, then you shouldn't. And you can still qual if you don't queue. You have to be, you have to compensate in some other way by being good at endgame. Which, in my personal opinion, honestly, for the vast majority of people, I think it's easier to learn game sense and endgame and mid-game rotates and height and all those like game sense related stuff compared to learning how to fight like a pro. I think it's way easier. It's not even close. And it often comes through watching the pro streamers, like watching them, watching VOD reviews. Like, you can literally go on Fortnite Tracker and just pull up any VOD from a pro and watch them after week 1. Or even this FNCS to prepare for next, It's all there. Like, it's so easy to learn, and honestly, no other esport works like this. So it's super easy to just VOD over and over and over and get good. Okay. Obviously, there's other resources, right? There's like master classes, there's my videos, there's coaching, like there's a whole bunch of stuff you can do. So it's super easy to learn that. Whereas mechanics, it's super hard to learn quickly because it's kind of like sprinting. You can't just like suddenly double your sprinting speed in like, a small, unless you're a beginner or something. You can't just like instantly improve that. It takes time. It takes months, years to get better at fighting. With rigorous practice, like you literally heard me, it's like 6 hours a day. But if you VOD review literally just 1 hour a day, and it's genuine VOD review, it's not like, oh, like going through the process, you're like actually curious about what you could do, then yes, you can make big strides as a player. Why not? Right? So that that's what I recommend. With that, does that answer your question?
Okay. Yeah, and solo cash cups, you think keying first game is worth it?
Why do you key solo cash cup?
To get ahead on like points.
Do you think? Okay, what if I told you? Yeah, I mean, I have proof for this actually. What if I told you I can just sit in a bush for solo cash cup round 1 and just call? Would you believe me?
Yeah, I'd believe you.
Yes, I mean, there's evidence. Resub did it. But I literally said this from the beginning of the season. It was very obvious to me. Why is it obvious? You can tell before even the first week happens. How? There's no requirements, number 1. So it's the same thing as do a cash cup. And number 2, the requirement for points. What do you need? Top what?
Like 7,500.
Right. And so to guarantee qual, you just need to literally chill. Do not fight us. You don't even need guns. You really don't. You just need to chill and play out end games. Now, I understand, like, oh, you can just key in qual in game 1 or whatever, but it's so easy anyways. And what if you die like 4 games in a row? Like, and it can happen, right? Because even if you're a really good fighter, every fight is a % risk. Now, how small or big that % chance is related to your skill level of fighting and also related to who you're fighting, right? But what's important is, like, if you mess up 3 games in a row, it gets stressful for no reason, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So that's why I don't think you should take on risk in a really easy environment. If it's so easy to qual, you shouldn't take on risk. Now, in Duo Cash Cup, why we do it is because the requirement for top 50 is like 380. It's like super hard. So that's why we do it. But in solo cash cup, no, I don't recommend it. Also, third parties in solo cash cups are way more common. Why? There's more teams. There's 100 teams per lobby. There's 50 teams in duos. So the congestion is bigger or like more tighter, right? So third parties are very common in solo. So I would not recommend.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, no, not a problem. And if you ever have any other questions or whatever, like, you just let me know.